The house was unusually quiet that evening. Even the creak of the old wooden floorboards seemed to avoid making any noise, as if in anticipation of the inevitable conversation that had been brewing for weeks. Peter sat in his worn leather armchair, scrolling through his phone, though he wasn't really reading anything. His mind kept replaying his wife Jenny's behavior over the past few months. She had become distant, cold even. The intimacy they once shared had faded into a series of polite conversations and quick exchanges, like two strangers sharing a space rather than a life. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of silence, Jenny cleared her throat and spoke. "Peter, we need to talk." He placed his phone face down on the side table and looked at her, feeling the weight of the moment settle over him like a heavy fog. "About what?" Jenny sighed, looking away for a moment before meeting his gaze. I think we need a break." Peter's heart skipped a beat, but he remained calm, his face betraying no emotion. "A break? Yeah, I need time to figure things out. I need space to think. Things haven't been working between us for a while now, and I don't know if this is what I want anymore." The words hit Peter like a punch in the gut, but he kept his composure. "And what exactly is this?" he asked, his voice level. Jenny sighed again, running her fingers through her hair. "This marriage. I don't know if I can keep doing this. I need to figure out who I am without all of this pressure. Maybe some time apart will help." Peter watched her closely, his mind working quickly. He could feel the panic rising inside him, but instead of letting it consume him, he did what he had always done best, he thought strategically. His heart may have been breaking, but his mind saw an opportunity. "All right," he said simply, surprising even himself with the calmness of his tone. Jenny blinked, clearly taken aback. "All right, yeah, if that's what you need, then let's take a break." She stared at him, searching for a sign of resistance or hurt, but Peter's face was unreadable. Instead of falling apart, he was standing tall, composed, and that unsettled her. This wasn't how she expected the conversation to go. "Okay," she said, a little less confidently now. "I think it's for the best." Peter nodded. "If you need time, you can have it. But I won't just sit around waiting. I'll be moving forward too." Jenny furrowed her brow. "What do you mean? You want a break, right? So I'll take the time to explore too." He paused for effect, watching her carefully. "I'll be going on dates, seeing what else is out there." Peter's words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Jenny's face flushed with confusion and irritation. This wasn't part of her plan. She had expected Peter to protest, to beg her to stay. She had anticipated his usual desperate attempts to fix things, to make her feel wanted. Instead, he was agreeing, no, worse, he was moving on. "What, you're going to date?" she asked, her voice rising in pitch. Peter shrugged casually, standing up from his chair. "Yeah, why not? You're asking for space, and I think it might be good for both of us to experience something different." Jenny felt a knot form in her stomach. She had wanted space to figure things out, to see if she missed him, to test his love, but now he was throwing the same thing back in her face. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. She had expected him to fight for her, to prove his devotion, and instead, he was willing to walk away just as easily. "Is that what you want?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Peter looked at her, his expression unreadable. "I want what's best for both of us. If you're unsure about our marriage, then we owe it to ourselves to see what else is out there." Jenny's mind raced. The idea of Peter dating other women twisted her insides in ways she hadn't anticipated. She had been the one to ask for space, but now that he was so quick to accept it, doubt crept in. Did he not care about saving their marriage? Was she really so replaceable? Peter walked toward the kitchen, leaving Jenny in stunned silence. "I'll be out tomorrow night," he said casually. "You'll have all the space you need." True to his word, Peter wasted no time. The very next evening, he dressed sharply, wearing the suit Jenny had always loved, the one he reserved for special occasions. He looked in the mirror, adjusting his tie and smoothing his hair back. This wasn't just about dating, it was about reclaiming his sense of self. He had been so consumed by the marriage, by trying to make things right, that he had lost a part of himself in the process. The app had been easy to navigate. Within a few hours, he had connected with a woman named Sarah, who seemed smart, funny, and, most importantly, available. They arranged to meet at a new restaurant downtown. Peter was nervous, but also excited. For the first time in a long while, he felt alive. Jenny watched him from the living room, her stomach in knots as Peter headed out the door. She had been testing him, she realized now, but her plan had backfired spectacularly. Instead of groveling, instead of showing her how much he needed her, Peter had calmly moved on. As she sat alone in the quiet house, Jenny couldn't help but wonder if she had made a terrible mistake. The silence of the house echoed around Jenny, amplifying her thoughts. She hadn't expected this. She thought Peter would react differently, that he would fight for her and prove his love in a way that reassured her. Instead, he had turned the tables, and now she was left alone, wondering if she had pushed him too far. Peter's absence gnawed at her. For years, they had built a life together, sharing every detail of their days, navigating challenges, and growing older side by side. And now, he was out there, with someone else. The thought of him laughing, flirting, maybe even holding someone else's hand made her feel physically ill. Jenny picked up her phone, scrolling through her photos, pictures of the two of them on vacations, at family gatherings, during moments of quiet intimacy. She hadn't realized how much she relied on Peter's presence until he was gone. She had taken him for granted, assuming he would always be there, waiting for her. But now, it seemed like she might have underestimated him. The man who had been so patient, so devoted, was now asserting his independence. And the more she thought about it, the more Jenny realized how much she didn't want to lose him. When Peter returned later that night, Jenny was sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the TV. She looked up when she heard the door open, her heart racing. "How was it?" she asked, trying to sound casual, though the tension in her voice was unmistakable. Peter shrugged, hanging his jacket on the coat rack. "It was fine. Sarah's nice." Jenny's heart sank. Sarah, a real person, not just some abstract idea of a woman he might date. "Are you going to see her again?" Peter hesitated for a moment before answering. "I'm not sure yet. Maybe." The thought of him seeing another woman again, possibly starting something new, was too much for Jenny to bear. She had asked for space, but now she realized that what she really wanted was her husband back. "I made a mistake," she blurted out, her voice trembling. "I don't want a break. I don't want you to date anyone else. I want us to work on this together." Peter looked at her, his face calm but serious. "Are you sure? Because this isn't a game, Jenny. You asked for a break, and I gave you what you wanted. But I'm not going to keep chasing you if you don't want to be caught." Tears welled up in Jenny's eyes as she stood and walked toward him. "I don't need a break. I need you. I thought I wanted space, but I realize now that what I really want is for us to fix this. I can't lose you, Peter." Peter sighed, his expression softening as he saw the vulnerability in her eyes. "I don't want to lose you either, Jenny. But we have to be sure. This has to be something we both commit to." Jenny nodded, wiping away a tear. "I'm sure. I'm ready to fight for us." It wasn't easy. The days and weeks that followed were filled with difficult conversations, with both Peter and Jenny laying their hearts bare. They had to confront the issues that had driven them apart, Jenny's feelings of being trapped, Peter's tendency to bury his emotions, and their mutual neglect of the relationship. But with each passing day, they worked through the pain, rebuilding their connection brick by brick. Peter canceled his future dates, realizing that what he truly wanted was to repair his marriage. Jenny, for her part, committed.